Thank you very much. My name is Mark Otabo, and you are watching The Big Issue. Now, the federal character principle was enshrined in Nigeria's constitution in 1979 to ensure that appointments of public service institutions fairly reflect the linguistic, ethnic, religious, and geographic diversity of the country. Now, although its implementation has received massive criticism, some people still believe it is the appropriate measure to solving the complexities surrounding Nigeria's political terrain. Now, football has for several years posed as a unifying factor for Nigeria. Now, the feels and the thrills of winning Atlanta 96 is still fresh in our memories, but long after that impressive outing, Nigeria is yet to win the Global Cup again. Now, many Nigerians are contemplating every option that can produce a formidable Super Eagles team that can knock out any football team in the world. So today on The Big Issue, the searchlight is beamed on the possibility of applying the federal character principle in the selection of Super Eagles players. Innocent Adulugba is a social commentator, sports analyst, and a reputation management consultant. Until recently, he was the head corporate communications at Mayan Baker Nigeria PLC, and he's here to say no to quota system in the Super Eagles. Come on, put your hands together for him. Come on, you can do better than that. Good to have you. Fantastic. Now, on the other hand, Kunle Solaja is the only African journalist to have covered 8 consecutive FIFA World Cup finals from Italia 90 to Russia 2018. He watched every minute of the 21 World Cup matches that the Super Eagles had played from USA 94 to Russia 2018. Now, he is here to say, yes, the federal character is possible. Nigeria has got talents across the regions. We need only to look deeper to discover them. Come, put your hands together for him. Good to have you. Good to have you. Fantastic. Good to have you. All right, this is really going to be very engaging. So I advise that you sit back, relax, and let us have a good time while I engage these amazing gentlemen. Come on, put your hands together for them once again. All right, Innocent Adulugba, very quickly, I understand that you are of the opinion that the federal character should not reflect when picking the right players to play for the national team. What is your argument? How do you start?
Oh, thank you very much, Otabo. I would rather start by welcoming the great Kunle Solaja. Right. If I was told before I'll be meeting him, I would have backed down. Somebody who has watched and has witnessed so much. Right. But I am going to try not to lose the battle. Right. The quota system. What is the quota system? The quota system is something that originated around 1921 in the United States legislation to check influx of nationalities into their country. Now, as time goes on, people describe it as a policy for admission, for hiring of minority into a school or a firm. Now, within a country, the quota system is an anomaly. Rather than, if you look at the origin I'm giving you, a country united is looking at how foreigners come in to mingle or disintegrate them. We are already a united country, embracing quota system, calling it unity, but to disunite ourselves. And the quota system with regards to sports, abuse merit. Sports, specifically football, is a skill-based game. Right. You want to watch Lionel Messi, you want to watch JJ Okocha, it's not a skill from your village or your language. It is a skill embedded in you, intrinsic, your genius, or something gained by training.
It is not a skill from a village or your language. Come on.
Yes.
Come on.
You know, and if you look at it from that angle, the quota system globally has been in Nigeria as well, pre-independence. But like you informed the audience, around the 79 Constitution, it got a new baptism name, federal character. And that federal character operates on 3 criteria. It exists on merit, especially with admission into schools. That will take 45% if you pass. It comes on catchment. the locality or geographical contiguity where that institution is located, and then 20% is quota system. So if you add 35 to 45, what do we get? Now, the remaining 20, whether you surpassed the cutoff point, you won't be taken. 20% goes for mediocre people who couldn't make the requirement in the name of federal character or quota system. I'm against quota system, especially when it even comes to football, a skill with your leg, your intellect, and how swift you can be. Watching football will become boring.
Thank you very much. Kunle Solaja, watching football will become boring. That was his take-off point and landing point as well. So what argument do you have to counter what he said so far with regards to the federal character?
Well, thank you very much, Innocent. Thank you, Mark.
Yeah.
Federal character is a relative term. Yeah. It is not in the same way you apply it in politics or in admission into schools. When it comes to sports, it has a different coloration. Yeah. If you go back to how, by the way, the national team of Nigeria is 70 years old this year, from 1949 to 2019. And that 1949, how did they select the best 18 players to form the nucleus of our first national team? The country was divided into 4 groups. The Lagos colony, as it was, then you have the northern part of the Nigeria, you have the east, then you have the west. Now, the east, they have selectors who were in the east to ensure that every player, because not only few players have the opportunity of playing for the big teams. So what you do now is that there are some, if you just limit the selection of national team players to the big teams who will always play in the league, in the national league and top leagues of the country, you may miss them. Right. If we had not applied the principle of going into the hinterland to search for souls and talents, players who have skill, probably today nobody will be talking about somebody like Thompson Usie, who is arguably the best striker this country has ever produced. He didn't play for any of the top football clubs in the country during his era. At that time, you have the Enugu Rangers, you have the Bendel Insurance, you have the IICC Shooting Stars, and then you have the Raka Rovers of Kano. Then in Lagos, you have the Superstars, you have the NEPA, and so on. But Thompson Usie played for a provincial club called Asaba Textile Mill Football Club, not even the great Bendel Insurance. So if somebody had not really mirrored into that area, maybe we would have missed Thompson Usie. If he had not traveled out of the country in 1977 when he did, probably Nigeria would have qualified for the World Cup for the very first time in 1978. But because he needed to go abroad to study, he went to the United States and we missed him. And it was so glaring in the last triangular league match we have to play with Tunisia and Egypt. His position was so glaring that Odegbami's crosses into the center could not find any connection because we missed a certain Thompson Usie. Then in that same team, one of the best defenders we have ever had in this country is called Godwin Odie. He didn't play for any of the top clubs. He didn't play for Rangers. He didn't play for Shooting Stars. He didn't play for Raka Rovers. He didn't play for Bendel Insurance. But he was playing for the lowly placed National Bank of Lagos. So if somebody had not really searched
and
gone deeper, we would have missed him. So if we apply this principle, when I said we use federal character, it is not at all, if for every Yoruba player you pick, you must go for an Igbo man. For every Igbo man you pick, you must go for an Hausa man. It's not like that. But the country is so vast that except we break into some cells and have national team selectors to really beam into certain regions and fish out players who hitherto would not have been discovered, then we have not started.
You heard his argument, and from all ramifications, you understand where he's coming from. I know you are basing your argument on the fact that this is a skill sport, and because it is a skill sport that has to do with the mind, most of the time we shouldn't look at a federal character. So you might want to counter a few things he has actually, signposted not too long ago.
I want to believe that KS is agreeing with me without knowing it. You know, the objective, one of the key messages from FIFA, the Federation of International Football Association, is global unity through soccer or football. If you apply federal character in Nigeria, you are diversifying. Because in Nigeria, the objective, the constitutional objective of federal character in the 1979 Constitution is to achieve ethnic representation. Ethnic representation. So, invariably, I'm going to surprise you now, the 2019 AFCON just gone, the top scorer for that tournament was, we all know him, Odion Judigalo. His feet or headers produced the goals. Who cares if he's from Edo State? Who cares if there were people we didn't discover? All you want to know is those you are taking out were visible. And with regards to regionalization, I dare say there are clubs across everywhere. So all you need to do on merit, we hear with the aid of technology and media who is doing what here and there. As the person is doing this and that, his language or village or place of origin is not written on his forehead. We are just interested that this is soccer, and so a winger is dazzling with good in-swingers. A defender blocks very well. A defensive midfielder shields his defense. A creative midfielder in number 10 is creative. And a striker is scoring. We don't want to know where they are coming from. Okay, I'm going to surprise you now.
Please.
Look at some instances globally before we come home now.
Right.
In Holland, they were the Dutch brothers, the De Boer brother, Frank De Boer and his brother. They were both playing for Holland. At some point, two of them were playing for Barcelona. Barcelona club is professionally run. So you wouldn't say they were taking them based on federal character, for God's sake, if you want to argue within the national team. There were other brothers, the Laudrup brothers. In fact, they dealt with us from Denmark in France 98. We saw them. We didn't see their language. We saw the damage to the Super Eagles.
Taribo was totally outclassed.
In England, there were the Neville brothers, Phil and Gary Neville, who played for both England and Manchester United. If you put this thing down to selection on, like I said, the federal character objective of Nigeria, check the 1979 Constitution, is to achieve ethnic representation. So if somebody were going to point holes in that, you can't take two brothers. Now, the two brothers are good. It's not their fault to share the same parentage. They are good. So you take one and you drop the other.
Innocent appears to be innocently missing the points. I didn't say you pick the players based on their ethnic nationalities or where they come from. I said, wherever he is, like Pele said in one of his books, said, wherever that man is, who believes in love, who has the skill, just go and fish him out. It doesn't mean if he's an Igbo man, it doesn't mean if he's a Yoruba man, it doesn't mean if he's an Hausa man. But the objective is to dig deeper and not just base your team selection on the top football leagues, football clubs that are in the National League. For instance now, look at the Nigerian Premier League, which started in 1990, May 2, 1990. Now, look at the players. From 1990 till the last session that ended some few months ago, how many of the top players, top scorers, have ever made it into the national team? Because we were basing our selection on those we can easily see and grab. Now, this person was, Jatau was the first player to be named the top scorer in Nigerian league. He scored 17 goals. After that, you have a Richard Ojomo in 1991. Then you have an Atom Moses with 10 goals in 1992. Tony Wigwe of Stores with 13 goals. And of all of them from 1990 till 2018, only one player has ever been able to replicate the form he had in the domestic league by getting entrenched into the national team, and that player is Ahmed Musa. Ahmed Musa was the top scorer with Kano Pillars in 2010. He remains the only footballer from the domestic league that has been consistent. The others, look at Jatao in 1990. The only international goal he scored for Nigeria was a goal against Benin in 1991. After that, he faded out. Then you now keep wondering, why do we have a one-season wonders every season? Somebody will be the top scorer in this season, but the next season he has fiddled out. The only one among them who was a top scorer in a season and then tried to be a contender in the next season was Peter Ayolobi. After him, there was nobody. So what does that mean? It means our team selection is faulty if we base it on those top scorers of the Nigerian league. But there are other players who never made it in the top leagues of Nigeria, who could be playing in provincial football teams, in the lower leagues, who may just make it into the our consciousness. So, but if until you dig deeper, you will never discover those players.
Come on. Yes, of course. Until you dig deeper, you may never discover those players. Now, an argument is like a country road. You never know where it is going to lead. But right now, we sure need to take this break. And when we return, the debate continues. It is still the big issue. Welcome back. This is still the big issue. Now, should the federal character principle be applied to selection of Super Eagles players? Now, the debate is still on, and we have these gentlemen ready to thrill us with their convictions so far. Now, Abdul, very quickly, you are of the opinion that the federal character should be abolished. But you are aware that when players represent their regions and they go to represent the Super Eagles, they are sending inspirational messages to their people in their region. That young boy who is growing up and looking at an Ahmed Musa from the north will be dreaming of being like him. Now, if you're abolishing that reality, how do these people dream? What if they have this perception that, what if in my own locality there's nothing good from this place? How can we have a setup of a Super Eagles players and none of my people, nobody is representing my region? Does that mean there are no skilled footballers in my region? Wouldn't that be a psychological damaging effect on that child who is hoping to dream?
Well, it's not a regional thing. I'm going to repeat myself. It's a skill.
Okay.
A lot of us in Nigeria, we are not from Ronaldo's region. We are not from Lionel Messi's region. Yeah. We are already admiring them. So we don't have to come from Ahmed Musa's region to admire Ahmed Musa and aspire to play football.
Yes, but you are aware in Nigeria, my brother is a very common language. It's a unifying factor. It happens everywhere. When someone wants to come for a job, the moment you know he's from your place, you hasten to try to see if you can lobby something for him so that you don't leave him hanging. The sentiment will always be there. So you are saying we should not have that in life. Now, he is saying, look, what if these guys are scattered all over? What if in the process of you abolishing that reality, we are going to miss talented players in areas you could never have imagined?
Look, Mark, go on the internet. The objective of quota system is to accommodate minorities. Okay. In Nigeria, that region you are talking about is the majority still enjoying quota system. Is that not discrimination? Is that not an anomaly? Then two, we don't know we are delving into many topics now, but we don't know the terms of hiring coaches, local or foreign. So we cannot be blamed for team selection. It's the job of it. Okay, let me take your time a little. Yeah. You know, in 2016, there was the final of Euro between Portugal and France. Do you know the lineup? If you could put that on your screen and match my words. Your left back, you had Patrice Evra. Right back, you had Umtiti. Umtiti Koscielny were there. And then in the middle, you have Pogba, Matuidi. I've not mentioned the white person yet.
You are talking of United Nations in the name of France.
You go ahead with me.
So
now, I'm coming. I will get to you. Let me land. Let me land. You have Moussa Sissoko. In front, the only, let me use the word, French-looking people you can see is Olivier Giroud and Antoine Griezmann. But they have a team. In Portugal, the goal from that match was just one, from the feet of Eder, a black man in Portugal. So it's a skill thing. You are standing here as an anchor for TVC on merit, not from where you are coming from. Were you taken from?
All right, I'll let you take your breath a bit. Now, so how do you approach this argument right now? Because he has said, look, if we are to go with federal character, we might not achieve the aim we want to achieve. After all, it's a skilled game. We shouldn't bring the sentiment of federal character into the picture. But you are firmly saying, come on, the federal character should play a role.
Now, let's use the example of France that he has used. Okay. It is the use of federal character in a universal manner. Going deep into every nook and corner to get players, whether it's a player of Cameroon origin or a Pogba that is of Guinea origin, and not, as long as they have the remotest link with France, they are absorbed.
Based on their skills.
Wait.
Based on their skills.
You only absorb somebody that you know will add value.
You don't need a Pogba who will make you lose a match. Will you take him?
Wait, that will add value.
Will you take him?
No. Hold on. You only take
Zinedine
a Pogba.
Zidane from Algeria played for France.
Wait,
if he was dull, would France take him?
Hold on.
Okay. If Pogba does not add value to France, will France take him?
You have just agreed with me.
No, I'm telling you, because they have to look deeper. They have to dig deeper. If there is no full-blooded Frenchman who can do the work, then they look for other people with the remotest link with France and get them into the team.
With the right set of skills.
The same thing Nigeria is doing now, going all over the world to look for players of Nigerian descent and getting them to play for us. And now we also apply the same principle, getting the Nigerian players, no matter where he is, whether it's in Sokoto or it's in Ikenne or it's in Enugu, you have to just go and, because one thing is certain, the average Nigerian coach is lazy. Wants a ready-made material. If I can't get in Enugu Rangers and I can't get in Enyimba and I can't get in Kano Pillars, that means we don't have players. But because they could not dig deeper, going into the lower leagues, like it was a lower league that produced the Odiye that I mentioned, it was a lower league that produced Thompson Usiye in Asabatek. And if you also recall, even the Segun Odegba means, all of them, they came from Jos. Odegbami came from Jos. He was discovered in Jos before Shooting Stars absorbed him into the team. And there, if you also, even, what's his name? Mikel also came from that area. But which major club did Mikel play for in Nigeria? But if he had not been discovered in the remotest part of Jos, where he was in an academy, we may never have had anybody called Mikel today. And that is what we are saying. We are not saying pick him because he's of Igbo descent. We are not saying pick him because he's of Hausa descent or a Yoruba descent. But wherever he is, we just have to go and look for them. The Super Eagles chief coach now, General Roy, said he couldn't find any player from the domestic league that can fit into our national team, which means he has not really dig deeper. If he has done so, if you don't find in Enyimba, must you find in Enyimba Must you find in Shooting Stars? Must you find in Bendel Insurance or Enugu Rangers? So those are the ones he's looking for. Oh, because he attended an MFM match in Enugu, Agege and could not get a star, then it means the Nigerian field is bereft of stars. Is that what we are saying? But if he had gone to the lower league, the NNL and other smaller leagues, he could have been able to get those stars. And because we are focusing on those big clubs, that's why even the Chan Eagles cannot make it in Africa, even against Togo, because we base our selection on the ones we could easily see, because we didn't dig deep. That's why Togo can beat our own domestic national team twice within 1 week. Conceding 6 goals within 1 week to Togo is the greatest shame that has befallen Nigerian football. And those players are players from the top leagues. There could have been better players in the lower leagues.
Come on. You got his argument?
No, I'm going to. I said he's agreeing with me without knowing it. I have told you before that we don't know the terms for employing and hiring coaches. So if a coach cannot select well, I mean, he should answer to his employer.
How does a coach select well? Is it not by digging deep?
So the terms for, we are going to another topic entirely.
No, we are still on that topic.
We are still on that
We are still on the
We
federal
are.
character topic.
Okay, look, why we are going wider is this. It is easier. Tonight, we will be watching Real Madrid and Barcelona, thousands of miles away from here. We will be watching them live. Tomorrow, if Akwa United is playing Sunshine of Akure, is it watchable? So what do you do about those people you cannot see? What do you do about those people you cannot see?
That's a big argument. What do you do about the players you cannot see? He has an argument.
That's why I said the NFF, we are going there now, the NNL, and all of them. What are the terms for hiring a coach visible? So me and you, either constructively, can make comments. You've said something. Watching MFM at Agege, Gernot Roy is settled. Lagos is a metropolitan place. Can Gernot Roy, the current Super Eagles coach, go and watch a match in let me call it remote, in Ikorekpene in Akwa Ibom, without the luxury of a remote airport nearby?
We have had
if he does not do that, what does his employers tell him? What do they do to him? So I'm repeating it. The world is easy. We are reduced into a global village. Put on your phone or laptop, you can see who is performing. You can just see them. And what you are seeing is your skills. Oga, I'm going to land this blow on you. Isn't there a selection for World Footballer of the Year based on where they were discovered or the skills they displayed? Give me.
Now, you argued that Gernot Roy just based his search for national teams in Lagos because he won't go to the remote area. We've had foreign coaches before who went to the nooks and corners of Nigeria. There was a certain Father Tico. That's even why they even gave him that word, Father Tico, because he's from Yugoslavia. But he went to every part of this country. That's how he was able to discover a certain Thompson Usie in Asaba. That's how he was able to discover even Godwin Odiye playing for National Bank, not even for the top leagues, the top football leagues in Lagos, because National Bank was never part of that. In Lagos, we have the Stars, we have ECN, we have ACB. He didn't play for any. Yet, because somebody wasn't lazy, he went to everywhere they were playing their league, because they were not playing the big stadiums, but he was able to discover them. So if Father Tico can do that, even Westerhoff, to an extent, also did that, because he was going round the countries to get players. And when he got those players, some of them could be raw talents, but you can now refine them into finished products, and even later, get them abroad. That was the genesis of Nigerian players leaving our own domestic league here and going abroad. They were raw talents discovered from nooks and corners of the country, but somebody now refined them,
Polish them.
polished them up, and then they became
Superstars.
and they became attraction
Yeah.
to the globe.
That deserves a round of applause. Come on. Now, you would also see that he has been able to present a case. Now, with the formation of the Super Eagles team at the USA 94 era, we saw diversity in the team. We saw a Rashidi Yekini from a particular region. We saw an Amokachi. We saw a mixture of ethnicity in the team, and they gave us fantastic football. So how would you not love the harmony of different ethnic groups coming together to form a national team?
I've told you the objective of FIFA is to provide a unifying culture worldwide. One country doesn't do that. If there's going to be a World Cup, you will see cultures from Brazil, from Holland, Italy. The culture doesn't start within one country. If Nigeria wins the World Cup and all the players were from Abia State, would you be angry? No. You know, so, look, okay.
That your no is not even sincere.
Okay, on the 3rd of August, 1996, 11 Nigerian players filed into the pitch to take on Argentina in that your famed 1996 Olympic finals. The goalkeeper was a Yoruba man, Joseph Dosu. He's from southern Nigeria. You had defenders in Babayaro and Igbo Boy and Mobi Okparaku. They won their award. Now, we also had Uche Okechukwu and Taribo West forming the heart of defense. Now, your midfield, you had a Sunday Olise from Delta, shielding the back four, behind Austin J.J. Okocha from Delta, providing the creative spark. In front of him, you have the bull, Dan Amokachi, and Idoma Man, who is an Enugu neighbor. And then you had an Nwankwo Kanu, who we saw shining through that tournament. The winning goal came from the feet of Emmanuel Amunike, beating a clever offside trap. I haven't mentioned somebody from maybe Kanu or Niger or Yobe. Does that invalidate our trophy that we are world Olympic champion?
Now, you are delving into ethnic nationality. To any Nigerian, it doesn't matter whether Kanu is from Arochukwu. It doesn't matter to anybody if J.J. Okocha is an Igbo man of Delta origin.
That's the objective of Nigeria's quota system.
So we have defined it at the beginning of this.
Character. That's why I say you have been agreeing with me without knowing it.
We have given a definition at the beginning of this argument.
Exactly.
That when you talk of quota system, it is not the same as it is employed in education admission, in politics, sharing of political offices, and other issues. But federal character here means that every part of the country should be allowed to raise stars and let those stars blossom.
Come on.
And if those stars blossom, it is for the good of the country, not necessarily for the good of where it comes from. And you have these players spread all over Nigeria.
Yeah.
You have Yoruba players playing in the East, even with the big clubs of Enugu Rangers and Eyimba. You have Igbo players playing in Lagos or in Ibadan or everywhere. So we are not looking at their ethnic nationalities. We are looking at their skills and their discoveries. It does not matter. If you go to the north, it's not that you are looking for an Hausa Fulani player. But what you are looking for is the talents in that area. And if we break into cells and we have good team selectors who can come a particular region and say, okay, I have 5 players.
All right.
Any of these 5 can fit into the national team. Just try them.
Come on, put your hands together. Now, before we go on this break, I want to ask you this very pertinent question. Wouldn't the unity be more solidified when you have different players from different representations of the ethnic background coming together, other than a set of players from a particular region? You are saying we are going to base football on skill. I do not disagree with you on that. But wouldn't it be very lovely to find a Nigerian Super Eagles team having different representations from all over the country, well skilled and coming together to form a force to represent the country, other than having just a selected players from a particular region because they are skillful and trained.
But that's your comment is the reason why somebody makes the national team. The national team is not a cultural jamboree.
Okay.
It's not a place to show your cultural colors, cultural dance, or ethnic coloration. It's a place where, because we have, like you said, we have seen you in Kano. We saw you as we are now. People are seeing us on TV. If somebody needs my job as a media consultant, a corporate communications person, my place of origin or where I was discovered doesn't matter. That's my point. My point is the objective of federal character in Nigeria's 1979 constitution is to achieve ethnic. Sorry, the constitution did not say politics, sir. We will bring it out. It's to achieve ethnic representation. Let me land. Now, Mark, in football, already after 1996, after Nigeria-Ghana 2000, and those early 2002, where we became bronze specialists, you may not agree with me. There is an invisible hand already of federal character, and that's why we are failing. If you ask me, have we been the team you see on TV for Super Eagles, will you swear it's your best team? Would you tell yourself that's your best team? If you watch, yes, I'm going to ask a second question. You saw the Nations Cup we played. Who was Nigeria's left back? If you come, like you said, from Kwara United, Enugu Rangers down, wouldn't you find a better person? But there are invisible hands forcing mediocrity on Nigeria in the name of federal character.
Now, that is a valid point. I put you on the spot.
Okay.
Can you name the players that you believe were picked based on where they come from?
I'm opposing it, so I'm not naming.
No, can you know?
I'm opposing it. I'm not naming. You are the one supporting it.
No, in law, he who asserts must prove.
I will prove when we get to court.
No, come on. Wait, he who asserts, you are making a point to the public that players who are selected based on where they come from. Can you just name just two?
I'm going to answer you now. We have had an AFCON team. The last one was with Keshi that won in 2013. Yeah. After that, each time you see the Super Eagles play, will you drink a poison chalice? That this man fumbling, there is no better replacement anywhere in this country. Would you drink that cup?
Look at the 2013 team.
Look, I've told you, they are forcing mediocrity on Nigeria with invisible political hands. Sports should be immune from quota system, especially football.
Come on, guys. Sports should be immune from quota system. We'll be right back. We have to go for this break. And when we return, the audience will be having the opportunity to weigh in on this matter. If you're just joining us, this is still the big... Welcome once again. If you're just joining us, this is still the big issue. The argument is still very clear. Should federal character be considered when setting up the national team? And so far, the arguments back and forth has been very engaging. So if you're just joining us, I would say you have missed out a lot, but trust me, this particular segment you would enjoy because the audience will be ready to weigh in on this. Now, very quickly, who's the first? Fantastic. Now, what's your name and who are you directing your question to?
My name is Chichi. I'm directing my question to him.
All right.
Looking at the situation of the Nigerian Eagles, Super Eagles, I mean to say, don't you think the application of federal character has done more harm than good to them? If you look at in the past, you keep emphasizing on the thinking deep. Have they not been thinking deep in the past, and yet they put the Super Eagles in shambles?
Well, maybe they have not dug deep enough. Otherwise, we would have had better players if you have really gone around the country to look for players. We have coaches in the past who will do the extra mile, run the extra mile, go to many parts of the country, even engage scouts, because there are some players that it is the scout that will tell you that, oh, there is a particular player in Ajegunle.
Thank you. Pass the microphone. Yes, who's next? All right, what's your name and who you do?
My name is Babatunde Arekombi. Right. I'm directing my questions for Mr. Innocent.
Right.
You see, the idea of comparing our nations with other countries is not realistic. We know Nigeria is so diverse in language and ethnic groups. Now, I think, and the issue we are having is that because some of these people involved in the process of checkmating the federal character with the players, they are not professionally disciplined. And that's why we're having this issue. I want to suggest that the need for federal character is to actually check this, to checkmate this nepotism in our player, in this selection process rather. So federal character is so necessary that it will create a balanced thing, because Nigeria is diverse, and we should not forget that when we have a particular team that is full of maybe northern region, there will be, so even though the team eventually win a trophy, some Nigerians will still
feel aggrieved.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Like I said before, if you take your phone and go to the internet, the objective of quota system is to be able to absorb minorities who may have been marginalized.
Right.
In Nigeria, the quota system favors majority, which is wrong. Apart from, there are 22 states enjoying the privileges of quota system. Only Ebonyi and Bayelsa are from the south. So if you have 22 out of 36 states enjoying quota system, we have turned the global logic upside down. It should have favored the minorities, not the majority. In our case, we favor majority over minority.
I want to say without palatoglossa erratum. I want to say without lingualism that I have listened to you, both of you. You have catalectically disintegrated the topic, poco a poco. I want to ask, in laconicity of a section, that you spoke about the quota system, which you call synonymously the federal character. My question is directed to you, sir, with all humility. How has this quota system proliferates the sporting domesticity? Thank you.
Even though it will appear I may have to go back to school to be able to decipher most of the things you are saying. But all the same, the little I'm able to grasp, I will explain. When we talk about federal character in sports and in football, we are not talking about picking somebody because of where he comes from or the language he speaks, or whether he's an Islamic player from Algeria playing for Man City. Those ones are factors that don't have any effect on the skill of a player. What is important is that a skillful player, no matter his language, no matter how highly educated or lowly educated he could be, no matter how rich the background he has or how poor the background he comes from, the most important thing is that he is discovered.
Now, you have tried to kind of give reasons why we should do away with quota system, and people might want to go with you. But I'd like to tell you that, just like your opponent has said, everywhere you go in this country, there are people who have skills. And I'm also a bit disappointed that the focus of the discussion is only football. We should go beyond football. We should look at other sports. For instance, you have the Toriola, the Quadri of this world. They are gotten from a particular region, and everybody celebrates them. because we're happy they are representing the country in a good light. We also have other regions that have produced athletes. For instance, when you talk of athletes, you go down south. You talk about footballers, you know where to get them. But generally speaking, we understand that our diversity must be respected. We're peculiar people, and that is where I stop.
Thank you very much.
And Toriola, as you know, he plays an individual sport in table tennis. The reason for football and quota is it's a team game. So you aggregate from selecting people. Now with Nigeria and diversity, we are not the most diverse nation on FIFA schedule. We are not.
All right.
It's the message the country puts to you. That's why I say on this platform, we will be putting holes on different angles.
Thank you. Thank you, Solaja. Thank you so much. All right, so far it's been really interesting, as a matter of fact, and we have gotten to that point where we need to take this home. The argument has been very concrete. We have diversities with the convictions from various individuals, and I believe so far you have enjoyed the discourse. Right about now, we have to end this, but not without taking the final notes from our guests. This is still the big issue. Of course, this is still the big issue. Trust me, we love to keep this going, but we need to go. But that won't be without the speakers giving us their last take on the issue. Now, I would begin with Solaja, because we started with him first. So let's get your final note on this particular discourse, representation of federal character in the national team.
Yes, like I've argued before, there is the need to go to every part of the federation to get the stars.
Right.
Even with the first national team, every region was involved. In the end, the majority came from Lagos. But everybody was satisfied that it was given an opportunity. Without that opportunity being given to all, there would have been dissenting voices even after the formation of the team. And that is what I'm praying for, that we should avoid.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. All right, Mr. Nelson, leaving you to round this up quickly. Yeah.
Yes, I feel very sad. You know, quota system, federal character is a poisoned cup coated with euphemism and served Nigerians camouflaged in populism. This country, yes, Nigeria is too rich for the poverty we have. Our budgets are too gigantic for the poor infrastructures we have. And so our talents are so vast for us not to present teams that inspire confidence. You know, you watch them, already you feel bad. So we should go back to those days where each person you put on the pitch is arguably among the best in that position in the world. You had Victor Ekpeba striking for you, Prince of Monaco. George Finidi was the best 7 in the world, going on to win the Champions League. Or Austin J.J. Okocha is somebody, is a household name. You had your Chidinwanu, Uche Ukechukwu. The team, the people you are seeing, whether they speak English or not,
we're worthy of the search.
Inspire confidence. They are losing, they are putting a fight. And there are options for them, there are signs of victory. So if Nigeria is to move forward holistically, culturally, developmentally, politically, and in football, we should ban quota system from now that I'm talking.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. All right, you know the ritual on the show. Before we finally round this off, we have to have this gentleman shake hands right now. Yes, it's been a battle. Come on, put your hands together for them. Put your hands together for them. Come on. That's not good enough. All right. Let's round up now quickly. All right, follow the conversation on our social media handles at TVC Connect and at TVC News Nigeria. My personal handle is at Mark Otabo on Twitter, Instagram. Engage me with the hashtag #TheBigIssue, and we would always be there. Well, till we return again on this platform, always remember that this is where it happens and this is where it goes down, where we put everything and we lay it to bear and giving you that confidence that we are truly heading for that trophy. This would always be the big... Thank you very much. Peace.